Hey guys, welcome back to another wonderful episode of Movies Misremembered. Today we're going to be looking at a comedy, a romantic comedy of all things, a rom-com. I actually had to take some notes on this one because I couldn't keep everybody's names straight. The movie in question today is called Couples Retreat. And I know, before you judge me too much on it, we rewatched it with my wife. That's why I'm misremembering it today. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I thought it actually had something to say to couples. I could see couples going to the theater and watching this movie together and then having good conversations on the ride home. And with a $60 million budget, I'll say it again, a $60 million budget. I'll say it again, a $60 million budget. It grossed $171 million in theaters and is still out there today. I found it delightful. It's definitely worth a watch. It's got some edgy comedy for what I would consider to be a pretty PG-13-esque film. I mean, there's no, to the best of my knowledge, straight-on nudity or a lot of obscenity. So, without further ado, let's get into misremembering the facts, shall we? Before we go on, I am the Duke of Alex, and this is Movies Misremembered by a blind guy, no less. Now, one of the best things that I have to say before we continue on is I watched it with subtitles, and you're going to want to do that too because my wife read the subtitles, and we'll save that joke for later, but it's phenomenal, it's recurring, and it's wonderful. So we have our heroes, Dave and Ronnie. Dave works at, I can only guess he works for Red Octane because he is a seller of the Guitar Hero video game series. Ronnie, his wife, is busy taking care of their two sons, young children, and also renovating the house. Now, we see some, tension early on in the film because Dave seems a little checked out on the renovations and Ronnie wants him to have more input into the thing. Then we have Jason and Cynthia. Now, Jason and Cynthia, I have no idea what they do for a living, but they love PowerPoint presentations. That will come into effect later on. Following shortly behind, we have Shane and Trudy. Now, towards the beginning of the film, Shane actually calls Dave, who from henceforth I shall refer to as Vince Vaughn, because he's Vince Vaughn, and Vince Vaughn is never anyone but Vince Vaughn, except when he was in Brawl in Cell Block 99, in which case he was Bradley and will never not be Bradley. Another movie for another misremembered day. Shane calls him up and needs help with the guy co-signing on a loan for a motorcycle. Dave tells Shane he has no money, he cannot afford a motorcycle, and he shouldn't get a motorcycle. Shane guilts Dave into coming over and co-signing because he's dating a girl named Trudy who's 20 years old. Shane is much older than that. I'd put him in his 40s, perhaps. Not late 30s, but mid to late 40s. And he's going through a bit of a midlife crisis after his wife Jennifer, whom I can only assume is gainfully employed, breaks up with him. So Shane is now dating Trudy, and Trudy keeps calling Shane daddy in public, and Shane's like, just don't call me that in public. And she goes, but I call everyone daddy, or all my boyfriends daddy. It's gonna be a recurring joke, and Trudy truly is the one who takes the entire movie. Now, the last couple we have, there's 4 couples, and they represent the 4 distinct archetypes, if you will, of where couples may be in their life. Shane's clearly going through a midlife crisis and finding himself. Trudy's his midlife crisis, for lack of a better terminology. And then you have the last ones is Joey and Lucy. They were high school sweethearts. Joey was on the football team. Now he coaches football. I have no idea what Lucy does. They have a daughter, and they're kind of waiting for the daughter to go to college so that they can then get a divorce and not affect the daughter's life too much. The entire concept of the movie comes to fruition when Jason and Cynthia give a PowerPoint presentation. Remember, I said PowerPoint presentations at Dave and Ronnie's young children's birthday party. The PowerPoint presentation is about how Jason and Cynthia are thinking, just casually mulling over getting a divorce. Just seeing the options there. And so they want to go to a couples retreat because they've failed to conceive a child multiple times, and they just want to see if they can make this work or if it's better to move on. I'm not a relationship guru. I think if you're at the point where you want to see if they can make this work or if they want to move on, you've already walked down a path that you kind of want to, like, you're like, should I turn around and walk back to the fork in the road, or just continue walking down the divorce path? Because you're on the path to divorce, but there's a chance you could cut across to staying together. Most people, however, cut the opposite way and attempt to do a threesome of some sort, and that doesn't pan out well whatsoever, from what I hear. So we have Dave and Ronnie. They are at the PowerPoint presentation with Shane and Joey and Lucy. Trudy isn't there. Whenever they ask why Trudy isn't there, and this is a children's birthday party, there's a clown outside, and one of them says, "Oh, Trudy's out there watching the magician." It's so good. It's so good with Trudy. I know it's sad that she's the butt of many a joke, but the actress plays it so well and rolls with it so well that it doesn't feel mean-spirited, even though it totally is. So Jason and Cynthia, I have to have their names in front of me so that I can, like, keep track of them. If you see my eyes cutting down there, that's what I'm doing. I'm reading their names. Jason and Cynthia convince the rest of the group with something called a Pelican package to go to a Eden West resort to save their marriage, which is kind of a couples retreat resort. Now, there's two Edens. You have Eden West for couples to come closer together. Then you have Eden East. That's for single people to come closer together. And you get that double entendre, because I'm good, man. So the Eden West is where our intrepid heroes go. And basically, they undertake different skill-based and relationship-based, I don't even know what to call it, therapy sessions, but sometimes they have to, like, feed fish and really become one with nature, and they're encouraged to open up to their counselors, but the counselors are just off the wall insane. And I think that's the whole point of it. Now, my favorite character in the entire movie is Stanley with a C, because I don't know where the C would go. But thank you, closed captionings, because they tell us his name is spelled Sctanley. Stanley with a C. That's how you spell it, in case you were ever wondering. Someone went the distance when they made the closed captionings to put a C in the word Stanley. And it's a gem, because I don't know where else they would put it. Now, when Dave and Ronnie first get there, Dave thinks his relationship is perfectly fine. This is going to be a fun in the sun kind of experience. He slowly uncovers and realizes that there's a lot of issues that are occurring. Ronnie also understands and realizes this as they continue going on. For instance, there's one part where Dave is diving and he gets nipped by a shark. Perhaps. We're not entirely sure, and it's because Jason, who was diving with him, abandoned him and knocked the chum into the water because they were feeding chum to fish, and they were watching the fish for some reason. I don't know. There are also a delightful moment, when they are to strip down to their underwear and then stare at their partner's body and compliment them and give I think that's a beautiful thing to do. However, if you remember Shane, he's the one with Trudy, he's not wearing any drawers, so he strips down to his underwear. He doesn't have any underwear. He's just butt naked. And Vince Vaughn has a great comment where he says, "Is his dick out right now? Oh, now it's a party. Okay, now it's a party." And it's really good. There's a very awkward scene with Joey and a masseuse, in which the masseuse gives Joey, or I think Joey just gives himself, an erection, and then he asks the masseuse to leave and leave behind the lotion, and it's just gross. There's bits with bellboys, tons of jokes laden throughout, but the main issue of it is Jason and Cynthia are trying to decide if they're going to stay together or not. And of course, this is causing issues with Dave and Ronnie. Shane and Trudy. Shane is just constantly exhausted. And Joey and Lucy are pretty much done with each other from the get-go moving forward. I don't know why they're putting on a front for their friends, but they are. And the entirety of the movie, we see these kinds of friction elements occur as these individuals are on their own journeys. And I think the entire concept is wonderful, because if you were in the theater with your significant other, you were going to see yourself in one of the four couples. They're all given equal amount of time, And it's very interesting because of the ending, which is, let's fast forward. They're on the island on the cusp of the 5th day, the last day they're going to be there. They're told they have to wake up super early and get to the beach before the sun rises. That's going to be how they all pass. None of them make it there before the sun rises. Instead, the night of, Shane basically loses Trudy. They're at a big couples dinner, and Shane says, I don't know where Trudy went. And Joey says, I know where Trudy went, because Joey has basically been fantasizing about going to Eden East with all the single ladies this entire time. He says, I'm going to go with Shane to Eden East. I'm going to stay over there all night if I have to. I will stay there. I will drink if I need to. We're going to do this, Shane, because he's my friend and he's in trouble. He's hurting right now. Joey just really wants to go. So they're talking about Trudy being over at Eden East, and Dave says, she's just gonna go over there and drink, dance on some tables, get all sweaty with some hot dudes, and then in the morning she'll come back. Shane's like, I don't want her getting sweaty with hot dudes. It's really good. So they decide they're gonna kayak or canoe over there, and Jason and Cynthia come to a boiling point whenever Cynthia decides she wants to get out of the canoe. And she jumps in the water, does a long distance swim. It's really good. There's also a scene that takes place a little earlier on in a lodge that is like a sauna, but it has snow falling. So it's steam with snow. I don't know if that's real or not, but I want one in my life. I want a very small bathroom that's got a steam pipe that is creating the steam, but it's snowing around me. I don't know how to make that if you're an engineer and you're like, oh, I know how to do that, leave it in the comments down below. Or if you know where they have such a lodge that it snows, but it's also steamy. I don't know what to call that. It was beautiful seeing it. I want to experience it. I think that would be a delightful clash. That's a total aside. So, back to what's happening. So, we have Ronnie, Cynthia, and Lucy go off with Cynthia because she needs some time away from Jason. Dave, Jason, Shane, and Joey go off to find Shane's girlfriend, Trudy, who's 20 years old, and they've been dating a couple of weeks. There's a beautiful moment in the therapy whenever the therapist is asking Shane and Trudy, and she goes, so tell me about your relationship. It's over, man. She left me, and I'm all alone. I can't. It's done. And she goes, why are you here? Oh, this isn't my wife. This is Trudy. It was an utter delight because Trudy's just like chilling on the couch with him. Like, yeah, he's talking about his wife again. Delightful. So they go to the party, but instead they come upon Stanley with a C, and he is playing Guitar Hero. Well, he's going to have them kicked off the island, but Dave bets him. He says, here's $1,000 that I can outplay you in Guitar Hero. And if we win, you point us in the direction of Eden East. If you win, we'll get, you get to keep the 1,000. I don't think they get kicked off the island either which way. So they agree. They play Guitar Hero. Dave turns out to be a Guitar Hero savant. Turns out Guitar Hero, like I said earlier, it's the game that he sells. And so he's rediscovering why he loves working Guitar Hero and why he loves Ronnie. So they go to this Eden East. They do find Trudy, but Shane decides it's time to have a heart-to-heart with Trudy and tell her, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I can't do this sort of stuff, There's an earlier part of the film where they're having, I can only assume it is foreplay, and he has a gag in his mouth, a ball gag, and she's like dripping hot wax on him. Do you like that, Daddy? It's, he's so far out of his depth. You just want to tell him, man, you need to date people your own age. I can only assume. So, turns out Jennifer, Shane's estranged wife, not ex-wife, because they're not officially divorced, is there as well. And she tells him this big speech about how she's been with plenty of guys now, and she's done all this and that, and she did not know what she had in Shane. Up to this point, Shane's not really shown himself to be... He's concerned about Trudy, and he is thoughtful in that manner, but I don't know if he is all of the things Jennifer tells him he is, but we're going to accept it for the sake of the movie. So Jennifer says, I made a big mistake in leaving you, and he goes, I don't even know if I like myself. And she goes, well, I don't like you. And he's like, whatever, I love you. And it's like, oh, they're back together now, which is not how it works. It's not how any of this works, but we're going to accept it for movie magic. So with them, we have Joey and Lucy. Joey's there chatting up hot single dancers from Texas, I assume. I don't know where they're from, but when I think dancers, I think Texas. And he sees Lucy on the dance floor with this guy who was their yoga instructor. And earlier, they did a yoga bit. Very funny. It got a little raunchy there. Joey has a problem with that, and he punches the guy in the face, and he tells Lucy he's been cheating on her, and Lucy tells him she's been cheating on him, and then they end up making out, and I can only assume, based upon the ending, that they're gonna stay together? I don't know. Then we have Jason and Cynthia. Jason finally meets back up with Cynthia and essentially tells her that he wants to reconnect. He wants to get back to square one, and all of the other stuff we're going to assume, Cynthia's inability to bear a child, is not as important to him as Cynthia as a person, which is how it should be, I think. But I understand that other context as well. I don't know. It's a very complicated situation that they're going through, and I can't imagine what Cynthia's feeling. That has no place in a comedy, but it's central to this one, which is why Couples Retreat is really interesting. Then we have Dave and Ronnie. Dave sees Ronnie at the bar. He walks up. He starts chatting with Ronnie. He's basically pretending they don't know each other. It's very cute, and then he takes her to the secret waterfall because she says, oh, I need to be here for Cynthia. He goes, Cynthia can take care of herself. I want to spend time with my wife. And it was just a beautiful sentiment. And they end up reconnecting there. And then we have the next morning, all four couples, even Shane and Jennifer, the newly reunited couple. Trudy, I can only assume, has a great time at Eden East, but I don't know how Trudy's going to get home. Like, have they abandoned Trudy? It's never explained. Wonderfully done, I think. So they're at a ceremony where the guy's giving them each mahogany statues, which is really, really cool. I really like that concept because it concretes together the experience you've gone through, and it gives you something that symbolizes your relationship in a very solid way that you can put on a mantle, pedestal somewhere in your home and look at and know, I did that. I did that for a week. I came out stronger for it. We came out stronger for it. And I'm happy with who I am and where I am. And that's a beautiful thing. So Dave and Ronnie, their symbol is the ass. He gives them an ass. He says, I've never seen a bigger ass. And it's a donkey. And he says, the ass is stubborn and the ass continues to go, but the ass is loyal. So Dave and Ronnie get the ass. Jason and Cynthia get the rabbit, I believe. Yes, Jason and Cynthia get the rabbit because the rabbit will go over, under, or around any obstacle. The obstacle in question here is Cynthia's inability to conceive a child. It's a heavy, heavy issue. Shane and Jennifer get a bumblebee, which I think is adorable. And as Shane says, thanks for the big ass bee, it's a bumblebee because the bumblebee goes out and might sample many flowers, but it always returns home to its queen. Isn't that a beautiful sentiment? And it's kind of goes in hand to hand with the idea that, I'm sure there are couples watching that where an individual has had relations outside of the marriage with someone else, and that's who they're speaking with in that moment. Technically, both of them, Shane and Jennifer, have had sex while being married with other individuals. It's the word cheater comes to mind. I don't know. They had a workaround, but it's there. Now, Joey and Lucy get a wolf, and it's because a wolf is one of, and I didn't know this at the time, which I think is really cool. A wolf is one of the only animals in the animal kingdom that mates for life. That's a beautiful sentiment. I did not know that. I don't know if that's true or not. That was told to me by this film, but they get the wolf. And that's the end of it all. The movie ends on the redelivery of a classic joke that's done in the first 10 minutes, in which Dave and Ronnie are at a hardware store shopping for renovation supplies, and Ronnie's child, the 5-year-old child of Dave and Ronnie, sees a toilet, looks like a real toilet, so he urinates in the toilet. And Dave picks the child up, and he turns to the employees who are staring at him and goes, there's really nothing I can say about this. And then he just turns and walks away. And the movie ends with the dad returning stuff, which I don't think is cool. The dad's name is Grandpa Jim. That he's returning stuff to the hardware store because it's stuff that Ronnie spent time picking out, I can only assume. And he looks around him and says, "Oh no, I've got to go, Dave." And Dave's like, "Is everything okay?" Yeah, I got to go. And across the room, the son's sitting on the toilet, going number 2, and he wants his shirt taken off, and he's upset that there's no toilet paper. And solid joke to end on. So in a nutshell, in a wrap up, as I continue to misremember this thing, the movie is about the trials and tribulations of being married, but not just being married, but staying married. Being married with young children, being married with Joey and Lucy. They have a child about to go out to college, and they're going to approach a new part of their life, the empty nester syndrome. Jason and Cynthia, being married with no children, and they might never have children. Shane and Jennifer, they're married with no children. They, that fell apart, and they went their separate ways and came back together. And so the entire concept, the one downside I have is the Shane and Jennifer storyline, because that's not how that works. That's not how there's a reason Jennifer left. Shane still has no job. He's dating a 20-year-old, and he now has a lease on a motorcycle. What are we going to do here, guys? What are we going to do? But I loved the way the actor portrayed Shane, the comedic moments that Shane had, and he had some of the best deliveries. Dave was a close second with the best deliveries. I thought Jason, as Jason Bateman, which is interesting, I don't think he had as many funny parts as he's capable of, but in Ozark we saw him branch out a bit and be a bit more serious. So in a nutshell, this movie is just a solid watch movie for a couple, or early on in your dating experience. I think it's phenomenal. Thank you so much. This has been Movies Misremembered. If you want to check out the DVD or the Blu-ray, check in the comments down below. I'll have an affiliate link set up down there. And as always, bye y'all. I'll see you next time. And if you have any movies you'd like me to misremember, let me know. I will happily set up a new recording for that. Okay. Bye guys.